Hey everyone, I hope you're enjoying this beautiful Saturday. It is absolutely gorgeous where I am right now. As you can see, I'm actually sitting on a paddleboard. I paddled over to the side, so I'm in the shade and I'm holding onto a fallen tree so that I don't float away. But I haven't been on in a little while, and I figured where else would be the most perfect place to come back online from than a beautiful lake on a paddleboard to talk about finding your happy. So a couple of things that I've just been wanting to share with everybody, some thoughts about really finding your happy. You know, the world we're living in right now is so different for so many people. And it's not only the circumstances, you know, of COVID and all of that brings, and people's changing, and it changes in their jobs and changes in their finances, and some for the better and some for the worse, and all of that. But there's also an energy in the air. There's, you know, I don't particularly watch news. I don't spend a whole lot of time scrolling through Facebook feeds and all of that, because I do try to shield myself. But every time anybody talks about watching, it's always negative. It's always like, ugh. So you know, the question is, so what do you do? You know, I know so many people right now who are going through a lot of transition, and there's something about this year. It's not just COVID, but there's something about this year that has brought about a lot of changes for a lot of people. And I'm no different in that I have a lot of transition right now in my life, and I've really been working my way through you know, finding a new normal, but also excitement in that. And so I was thinking about some of the things I've been through and some of the things that have helped me, and I thought I would just share. And I have two ideas that I want to share with you today that really can make a difference in your life. You know, I talk a lot, and anybody who speaks about success or happiness, you'll always hear one of the first things anybody says, I don't care who the teacher is about taking 100% responsibility for your life. And, you know, that's not like, oh, it's all my fault. Oh, yeah, he's a jerk and it's all my fault. It's not about that. It's not about fault or blame. It's about owning your power and owning the fact that this is your life and you get to create exactly what you want, how you want. You know, but you can't do that if it's somebody else's fault, if it's circumstances' fault, if it's the job, if it's the boyfriend or the husband or the wife or whoever, the coworker. So a couple of ways that has been present for me lately, you know, as I've been going through some difficult times and a lot of transition, is looking at being responsible for how you show up every day. So when I say how you show up, I don't mean like what clothes you're wearing or the expression on your face. I mean, like, who are you being, right? And so when you walk in the door of your house, or you walk into your office, or perhaps you're staying at home, you know, as a veterinarian, you know, I am still going into an office, but perhaps you're staying at home, you know, who are you being when you wake up every day? You know, do you wake up in the morning and who you are is depressed and resentful and angry and anxious and you know, just bitter? You know, and if you are, that's not wrong, but consider, how does that make you feel? Because who you are is a choice, really. It's not an easy choice. It's not easy to shift it, but it really is a choice. And when you can shift who you are and give up some of the negative ways of being that you might have, not only do you change and your demeanor changes and your experience of life changes, but the people around you actually start to change and shift as well, because I think we underestimate the degree to which people are responding and reacting to us. So we can live in our little bubbles, and I think like, oh, I'm in my own little world, and you know, this one's a jerk and this one's not nice and this one doesn't speak to me, or whatever the case may be for you, you know, and I'm really not present to the impact that I'm having on them. So a couple of thoughts about that is, number one is looking at, like I said, who are you showing up as? And one of the things I realized is that I was getting into a place of, I don't want to call it victim, but maybe a mild version of that, and becoming withdrawn, becoming quiet, becoming resentful of the way I perceived myself being treated. And one day I realized, I'm like, Jen, you know, how you think you're being treated is actually how you're treating them, because you think that's how they're treating you. You know, and so if you feel that somebody's not being nice, and so therefore you don't speak to them, or you are nasty to them. I mean, I'm not usually nasty. For me, I usually just get quiet. But everybody's different, right? So however we respond negatively in response to our perception that other people are being negative to us, even if it's in a store and somebody's like, you know, pissy at us, we think 100% that our response is in reaction to them, and therefore we're right, they're wrong, they're primary, we're secondary. And consider sometimes that you actually may be doing exactly what they are doing, thinking that you're doing it because they're doing it. But who's to say, hi Chrissy, who's to say that that they're not doing it because you're doing it? And that really, I was driving down the road a few weeks ago and that occurred to me, and all of a sudden I said to myself, oh wow, like, who's the first one? Which came first, the chicken or the egg? And who's right and who's wrong? You know, if two people are in a store and one person's nasty and so the other one's nasty back, well, maybe one spoke first, but maybe the first nasty was because the first person came in with like an attitude, right? So who was the first one? So who's was the response to the first one? Therefore, who's right and who's wrong? And you can go in circles like that. And so if you can just actually be responsible for who you are showing up as and who you are, regardless of people around you, then you can stop that. You know, if somebody's in the store and they're all pissy, and who you are is love and compassion, then you're not going to get pissy back at them. Because when who you are is love and compassion, I miss you too, Chrissy. When you're not going to get pissy back, and guess what will happen? Amazingly, in so many cases, is that person will go, okay, I'm sorry, you know, I didn't mean that. But what happens is we get caught up in this back and forth, and we're not being responsible for who we're being and how we're showing up in the world. And my suggestion to you is that you can define and create yourself as anything you want to be. And if who you want to be every day is resentful and angry and victimized and pissed off because of COVID, then go for it. But my suggestion is that that's not going to help you find your happy. And so I decided to create myself every day. Who I am is love, happiness, and peace. And there are times where that's not easy, and I just keep saying, who I am is love, happiness, and peace. Who I am is love, happiness, and peace. And I keep shifting myself back to that for no other reason than I choose to. And what I start to see is the people around me relaxing, the people around me softening. And when that happens is you get, wow, I actually have been having an impact on them, not positive, right? And so, you know, whether it's your home situation, family, children, partner, coworkers, siblings, you know, whatever, friends, whatever the situation is, start to look at honestly, not, well, he's a jerk, so of course I'm going to be this way. No, give all that up just for a minute, just in your mind, and think about how you're showing up and the you that you're bringing into the world every day or into the office, because we are different in different situations. And start to consider, hey Jen, start to consider that by shifting that just because of a choice, you might start to notice, you know, if your partner at home, every day you get up and you go downstairs and he's grumpy, and so then you're grumpy because he's being a jerk, just don't. Like, how about you go downstairs and your perception is that he's grumpy, And who you are is whatever you decide. You know, like I said, for me, it's love, happiness, and peace. You could choose compassion and joy. You could choose wonderment and curiosity. Whatever it is that you want to choose, what would it be like if you walked down to the grumpy person in the kitchen every day with wonderment and curiosity and love? What a different interchange that would be, because now you're curious. I wonder why he behaves this way, but I love him or her or whoever. So that's just something that's really been on my mind as a way to shift the energy around you, a way to shift yourself and your experience of life. And amazingly, all the awful people around you in the world, hi Jennifer, all the awful people in the world suddenly aren't so awful anymore. And I know, at least in the veterinary profession, a lot of people deal with this with clients. You know, I read a lot of stuff on the Facebook groups, and you know, it's like clients are jerks and clients are accusing, and they're all the things, right? And how about if that's okay? You know, let it bounce off, and who you are every day at work is compassion and love and happiness, or whatever, you know. And so consider, just from a place of compassion. Mrs. Smith walks in with her dog, or walks up to your curbside with a dog these days, and she's all grumpy and nasty, and how much is this going to cost me, and all this stuff, right? And who you are is compassion. And it doesn't matter what you're compassionate about, but consider she has her own stuff. Or think, what is it like to go through life like that? How many people, how lonely must she be if that's her attitude in life? And just come from a place of compassion, because none of it has anything to do with you. And none of it has anything to do with me. And that's really hard in the moment to get. That's something I struggle with, but it's the truth. And so I just want to invite you all to take a good look, if you want to, because this is the #1 ticket to finding your happy, is at yourself and how you show up and the energy that you bring and how you respond, and to stop thinking that everybody else's reaction is primary and you're being whoever you're being because of them. You have a way bigger impact on your world and the people around you than you realize, and a way bigger impact, not even a bigger impact, a complete impact on you and your quality of life. So that's all. Those were my thoughts, and I apologize that I haven't been on in a little while. Like I said, I've been going through a lot of things in my life and just been sorting it out, and I'm excited, and lots of new normals for everybody in 2020, you know, some good, some not so good, but it's only not so good if we say so. But everything's an opportunity, everything's a chance to start from nothing and create whatever you want. So start with looking at yourself, start with who are you showing up as on a daily basis. And I can promise you that if you take a commitment to showing up as love, happiness, and peace every day in your life, then that's what's going to show up for you. So I hope you guys have a wonderful weekend. I am going to out of the shade if I didn't. And I love you all, and I hope you have a happy day. Take care.